Apps. Gentleman and a scholar.
He's got his own Star City column, Clyde with a chance to be. And how about that? How good is that timing? And how good is this match? Mike Flores against Louis Laskin.
Ooh,
this is a pretty good. I knew we were getting Flores. I didn't know we were getting Laskin on top of it. What a great matchup.
That's pretty exciting.
So on the screen right now, the man who's just on the screen, love him or hate him, heckle him or heart him. This is Michael Flores. He is playing the Cephalid Breakfast. Combo
Cephalid bunny quotes? Is that what
we're not calling it that. Yeah. We're not calling it Flores bunny quotes. That's the most ridiculous name. Sorry, Mike. And not because I don't like it, but because it's not going to catch on.
I think Lou's probably playing his grandson Zenith deck.
Yeah. And so for those who are just joining us, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Jacob Van Lunen at the Star City Games Open Series here in Edison, New Jersey. And this is round 2. This is the first match that we're covering. Patrick Sullivan just took down the Standard Open not that long ago, and now we're on to the Legacy portion. Mike Flores is leading on Aethervial, and he says that he has lost like one game in a couple weeks of testing with this deck. So we'll see.
One match, I think. Right?
One match, maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it pans out. Game 1, he told us that he narrowly defeated a 43 land deck, which in a game.
He was so bold as to say that, like earlier yesterday, he said to me that he would be shocked if he did not top 8 this tournament. He thinks he's over 80% to top 8.
That is some good percentages. So Louis Laskin goes for a brainstorm here. Looks like he's some kind of counterbalance thing. Mike Flores considering his options.
One of the great things about Magic is you get to meet all these incredibly intelligent people.
Absolutely.
And befriend them. The P-Nap's just in the booth. He's this funny, silly guy who's always joking around. He's actually absolutely brilliant person. Perfect score on his SAT.
Really?
He's team leader at Goldman. You just get to meet these people who have these incredible brains.
So we can see a Zenith here from Laskin?
We might see a Zenith. He might wait so that he can get a Lotus Kabaru.
Yeah. It's very possible if he taps for the Zenith here, he could just lose on Mike's turn.
That is a distinct possibility.
Mike has Force in his hand, and Louis has a Force. But yeah, so he's going to Zenith. And Flores is going to Whirly Tutor in response. And I think Flores is setting up for the turn 2 kill.
It's 3, but...
Or turn 3, rather, yeah.
I mean, this deck has a startlingly consistent turn 3 kill. Through Force of Wills. Through Dazes.
And Mystical Tutor was the problem card before. We'll see if Worldly Tutor can match up to its brethren. So Mike quickly forces away. And here are the deck lists. For those of you wondering at home what's in Mike's deck, this is what he's playing. Ponder, Cabal Therapy, Worldly Tutor, Nomad's Encore, Karmic Guide, Aethervial, Cephalid Illusionist, Sky Hussar, Daru Spiritualist, Dread Return, Kiki Jiki, Narcomoeba, Living Wish, Force of Will, and Brainstorm, along with Starlit Sanctums in his mana base. And he's got a very long wish board. For those who don't know how the deck works, it has 2 combos. One of the combos is you play Nomad's Encore, which has the ability 0 to redirect 1 damage, but the important part is you can target a creature infinite times. And you have Cephalid Illusionist, which says whenever it becomes targeted, that's what the card on your screen is now on top of Mike's library. Cephalid Illusionist says whenever it becomes targeted, you mill 3 cards. So you mill your whole deck, you get all your Narcomoebas, all your Cabal Therapies, a Bridge from Below, you sacrifice your Narcomoebas, you strip their hand, you get some zombie tokens, then you Dread Return a Karmic Guide, you Karmic Guide Kiki Jiki. Kiki Jiki copies Karmic Guide, gets Karmic Guide, brings back Sky Hussar. Sky Hussar untaps all your creatures.
Yep.
And that's that. Yep. And here's Mike with the combo. You'll see him play it out right here. And this is the first half of his combo. And I'll explain the second half while they're shuffling up. So he does it in increments of 3s in case he feels like stopping anyway. And Louis clearly, as an experienced Legacy player, Louis knows what's going on. This is not a good sign for him. And keeps milling and milling and milling. And there's the Sky Hussar. Mike said he kept forecasting the Sky Hussar in testing, which made it better than Pester might. It also costs 5, so you can validate it. If you have Kiki Jiki in your hand, you can hit them both. So Mike just keeps milling And milling and milling.
Yep, now Mike's going to sacrifice one of these Narcomoebas. He's going to Cabal Therapy his opponent, probably naming Force of Will.
I think that's the card you would name.
He's going to see the days and realize that he can just Dread Return and pay for the days.
Yep.
And then that's game.
Yep. And yeah, Mike pretty much has this one on lock. It's just a matter of going through the motions. Oh my. Oh my, what a crazy deck. So the other half of the combo is, so you have a graveyard-based combo, but if your opponent has graveyard hate or anything similar, the other thing that you can do is you can use the Nomads with Daru Spiritualist, which says whenever it becomes targeted, it gets +0/+3. And then you sacrifice it to your land, called Starlit Sanctum, which gives you life equal to its toughness. You can just go infinite on life, which beats numerous decks also. And yeah, and here we go. So you're going to see the combo walk through here. Mike's going to Dread Return, sacrificing his 3 creatures. And he's going to
put a Karmic Guide into play.
Return a Karmic Guide.
And then the Karmic Guide is going to return a Kiki Jiki, which will then copy the Karmic Guide, which will return a Sky Hussar, which will untap the Kiki Jiki and create infinite Sky Hussar tokens. All of which have haste.
And so yeah, their Kiki Jiki copies the Karmic Guide. Yeah, and Lewis figures out what's going on, and Mike Flores quickly steals the first game from Lewis. Lewis basically did nothing. He cast a Force of Will, and that was it. The end.
I mean, this deck seems pretty good.
I mean, when you get draws like that, turn 3 kill.
I mean, but he has 4 Worldly Tutors and 4 Living Wishes.
Right. I mean, if you just look at the amount of like tutoring this deck has, you have 4 Worldly Tutors, 3 Ponders, and 4 Living Wishes. And the he obviously,
and 4 Brainstorm,
and 4
obviously.
Brainstorms, yes. So he has all these things in a sideboard that he can find with his Living Wish too. Like he can get all of his combo pieces. He can get the Illusionist, the Spiritualist, and the Nomad's Encore. He can get Starlit Sanctum, which conveniently Living Wish also finds. So it gets creatures or lands. You can play with Meddling Mage, which is obviously a nice bullet against other combo decks. You can get Harmonic Sliver, Gilded Drake, which is, he told me yesterday, against Show and Tell, they put an Emrakul. They have to put their card in first because of who goes. So they put Emrakul, you put in Gilded Drake, you swap them, and that seems pretty fair to me.
Seems like a good swap.
He has a Kataki War's Wage for Affinity too, which I know he said he's used numerous times. He's got Croson Grip, nice little legacy staple there. Ray of Revelation, a card you can mill and kill an enchantment potentially if there's something locking you out from killing them, maybe Solitary Confinement. And then an Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, which he said was important against Solitary, or against the Enchantress deck, because you don't want to deck against them. You can go to Infinite Life, you just have to make sure you don't deck out. And so Mike Flores is like a noted player who dislikes Wish sideboards because they don't give you a lot of flexibility, and that's exactly the case here. There's not a ton Mike can really bring in this matchup. Maybe Croson Grip comes in if he thinks it's on counterbalance, but other than that, there's not too much going on. On the flip side, we have Lewis Laskin, who is playing, he's playing the Bant deck that I think he played recently, and Cold Eye Selkie once again makes an appearance. Eternal Witness, Neither Reliquary, Lotus Cobra, Noble Hierarch, Quasali Pride Mage, Rox Warmonk, Trigon Predator, and Tarmogoyf with a crossed out Progenitus. I'm not sure if he was actually intending to play Progenitus. He crossed out natural order. He's crossed out Natural Orders and he crossed out Progenitus. But so he's got a bunch of one-ofs.
Classic. The
one-ofs are Cold Eye Selkie, Eternal Witness, Pride Mage, Warmonk, Predator, and Tarmogoyf. And the reason he has all these one-ofs is so he can tutor them up with his 3 Green Sun Zenith. And then to supplement the Zenith is he also has Daze, Sword of Fire and Ice, Swords to Plowshares, Force of Will, and Brainstorm, along with Jace and Elspeth. So we have some Planeswalkers, Elspeth Knight Errant, Planeswalkers. And of course you can always Green Zeniths for Dryad Arbor, which is a nice little 1-mana rampant growth. Although the one issue, Alex Bertoncini, who I was staying with, was telling us about how he kept getting his Dryad Arbors submerged, which was absolutely backbreaking. But I think as long as that doesn't happen, which is not going to in this matchup, that play is usually pretty good. 1-mana rampant growth. In the sideboard for Lewis, he's got Kitchen Finks, Loaming Shaman, a bunch of 1-up targets. Kitchen Finks, Loaming Shaman, and Quasali Pride Mage, along with 3 more Tarmogoyfs to fill out his set. Only playing 1 Tarmogoyf in the main deck, which is an interesting decision. And then he has 2 Path Exiles, 3 Spell Pierces, 1 more Days to finish off the set, an Umezawa's Jite, and 2 Dueling Grounds. And Dueling Grounds is a really interesting card we haven't seen much of, but with the rise of goblins, it's a card a lot of people have really used good effect in that matchup.
Their deck functions because it swarms people in such a way. And if they're only allowed to attack with 1 guy, then, it just cuts them out of the game. Dueling Grounds is an enchantment from Invasion, I believe. It's a white and a green, and only 1 creature can attack each turn, and only 1 creature can block each turn.
Correct. And it is indeed from Invasion. Yeah, it's a little known card, but it is a nice piece of technology against a deck that wants to attack with as many creatures as possible. Goblin Pile Driver does not look nearly as threatening when it's the only goblin serving at you. And there's the indubitable Michael J. Flores, and there is the much more comfortable Louis Laskin. Lewis is a player we've featured under the spotlights numerous times.
He's super innovative with his deck choices.
Absolutely. I mean, he played the great green-white deck yesterday that we featured early on, kind of tapered off toward the end of the day. None of them cracked top 8, but seemed to be a great foil to the Cobblade decks. The green-white deck had Vengevines and Fauna Shamans and Squadron Hawks, Birds of Paradise, Overwhelming Stampede, Lead the Stampede, a bunch of really cool takes, innovations on the archetype that, I don't know, I think it's worth checking out and could definitely make a big showing in Memphis. But for now, we are going to game 2 here. Michael Flores, for those who missed it, if you blinked, you missed it. If you walked away to go to the bathroom, you missed it. Michael J. Flores, turn 3 kill Louis Laskin through Force of Will with his Cephalid Breakfast combo deck. He's been playing this deck for a couple weeks.
Through Force of Will and Days.
Through Force of Will and Days. He's been playing this deck for a couple weeks now, and he says he's only lost 1 match. So he had to stop playing because he was afraid people would start copying his deck list on Magic Online. So that was his claim. We'll see how it pans out in this tournament. Drew Levin is also playing this deck. Drew took a round 1 loss. Mike is got a little bit of a sketchy hand. It's pretty land heavy. It looked like it was land heavy and then Worldly Tutor. Lewis has
there's a force in there as well.
Lewis has double Force of Will, Swords of Plowshares, and Wasteland. Wasteland is a card that Mike said he had a lot of problems with. So Mike peeks at the top card of his library, doing something that I don't think that it's interesting that he's advocated against doing before. And then he shuffles them back up, goes down to 6. The thing about this
do
deck,
as I say, not as I do. Right?
The thing about this deck is, sometimes you just gotta know, right? So I think that the thing about this deck is it mulligans pretty well because you have so many different combinations of cards that can just kill your opponent that you can mulligan all the way down to 5 cards and still have a decent draw.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to mulligan like that against Lou's deck though, because Lou has, his hand is double swords, double force. So if there's a hand that can disrupt this deck, Lou's hand is the right one.
Yeah, that double force is gonna be good. Although, does he have another blue card to pitch? He might. He doesn't immediately have something. Oh no, Mike immediately peeks at his top 3 cards again. And Mike's down to 5, but like we just said, on a 5-card hand, his deck still has a significant amount of play.
You have to remember, it's not unlikely that Mike just wins, Mike can win on turn 2 on a mulligan to 5. It's...
Yeah,
through Lewis's hand, Mike can win on turn 2 through a mulligan to 5.
Yeah, the double force still could mess him up potentially, but he can certainly do that. Especially, let's see, that Cabal Therapy will help, that force will help. Aether Vial, that's the card that Mike says he really wants. Oh, except Mike ships down to 4.
Oof.
Wow. He's not getting what he's looking for here, but he is willing to go all the way down to 4 cards. Let's I mean, there are definitely some robust hands that you can get on 4. Mike didn't have any of the combo pieces that time, so I can see why he was reluctant to keep. So we'll see if his 4-card hand is any better. Interesting to note is that Lewis Laskin's deck has a Caracas in it. He doesn't have any legendary creatures to kill or to target itself, but he can tutor up with Neither Reliquary to kill against the other Bant decks that use Mangara Coronor. Mike goes down to 3 cards. And it can also be used to bounce cards like Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn.
Yeah, it's a really nice thing to
Ion.
have, like to be able to, knight for your Caracas when they put an Emrakul or Ion on the board.
Yeah, exactly. turn 3 knight against the show and tell decks is actually kind of reasonable. So yeah, Mike's going all the way down to 3 cards, and as robust as his deck is, I don't know if.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work out too well.
Just trying to make a show. Let's see what we get. All right, I think Mike's gonna keep this one. He looks happy. It's Force of Will, land, maybe Brainstorm. might have been the best he could hope for. I mean, maybe not the actual best, but. So we get to Tropical Island.
Lou's gonna wasteland it.
Yeah. So he goes for a Ponder, and Lewis declines to force that, probably wisely. Some players might be inclined to force that just because they're like, well, you force this, and then maybe he just has nothing else going on. But I think you save the force for something that actually would matter in the game. And Mike draws a Brainstorm there. So let's see, he draws the Daze, which will even further cause havoc for Mike. Noble Hierarch serves in for 1. What a fantastic card. Noble Hierarch, I think Noble Hierarch is better than Birds of Paradise.
Oh yeah, Noble Hierarch is like the best 1-mana guy ever. I remember when they first printed that guy, Conrad Kolos was talking to me, and I was comparing it to Bird. I was like, oh, did you see that new Bird? And he's like, you can't even compare that thing to Bird of Paradise. It is so much better than Bird of Paradise.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I mean, the sweet thing about Birds that it does give it a nice advantage now is with swords back, like hooking up a bird with a sword is really nice because it can always connect. But still, the Exalted is just so awesome. Like, it's a Llanowar Elf, Birds of Paradise, pumps your biggest guy. It's so great. And Lewis is pretty much in firm control of this game. Doesn't look like much of a game, really.
I mean, the thing is, Lou's applying absolutely no pressure to Mike. Mike can draw his way out. It's possible.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened.
That is certainly true. He does have Starlit Sanctum, which is one piece to his Darwi Spiritualist combo. And Lewis considering his options.
He's going to start beating for 2 at Dryad Arbor, I imagine. Maybe he'll Zenith. And Zenith for 2.
Get like
a Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, Tarmogoyf is probably the culprit here. I'm trying to think. Pride Mage doesn't really do anything. Yeah, it looks like, unless he wants to get Lotus Cobra for some reason. Tarmogoyf is the card. And, yeah. Lewis still preparing his options. Alright, he's made a decision, and here comes Zenith for 1.
Ooh.
So I think we're going to see Noble Hierarch. Yep, Noble Hierarch comes out. So he's going to accelerate his mana and turn his essential 1-2 beater into a 2-3 beater, shortening Mike's lifespan.
Well, I don't think he's attacking with the Hierarch this turn. If he attacks with the Hierarch, then he can't leave swords up.
Right.
And it's gotten to the point now where Mike has a few cards in his hand, and he'd really like to have Force plus swords.
Right, like
It
Lewis
makes things a lot safer.
Lewis is in a great spot. He just doesn't want to accidentally lose the game if Mike has the perfect combination of cards. Oh,
Yeah.
and there's a cephalid illusionist right there. Living Wish. I think Lewis will probably let it resolve because he won't want to counter the target. So yeah, he gets that piece. And now Mike actually has the 2 cards he needs to combo in his hand. It's just a matter of resolving them through Lewis's double Force of Will is going to be the problem. And here comes down Jace the Mind Sculptor.
That's going to make it even harder.
Yeah. Now that was one of Lewis's extra blue cards for Force of Will, but by brainstorming I'm sure he'll find some more. And yeah, there's another Jace. Except he puts the Jace back, and the Swords back. I think he might have picked up a Daze on that exchange too. Plays Flooded Strand. And he casts the Nomad. Moose is like, what does that actually do? Can I let it resolve? And then he casts and that thing is getting, yep, taking a plow. And let's see. And if he lets that Illusionist resolve. Now, Illusionist has another ability. And besides this being a combo piece, I mean, if he tries to bounce it with the Jace, Mike will still mill 3 cards. He could potentially hit some Narcomoebas, which could theoretically be relevant. And Lewis puts a card on the bottom of Mike's library. Cephalid Illusionist also has the ability to blue tap, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and by target creature you control. So Cephalid Illusionist can actually block kind of okay, which is kind of trippy. It's a very weird card. The 2 abilities have like nothing to do with each other, but such is the case of many combo pieces.
Cephalid Illusionist is kind of a strange card.
It's very, very strange. But it was part of a cycle, right? There were a couple guys that milled you when cephalids that milled you when or they were targeted, and he was one of them. Dryad Arbor gets in there, and yep, he's going to use the ability. Block the Cephalid Illusionist, activate its ability, take no damage. Mike grinding this one out. Mike reads the card. Make sure he's not screwing up.
Oh, okay.
Mills. Yep. And so the illusionist targets itself with this ability, which is the interesting part.
No, I don't think he saw that beforehand.
Milling Mike for 3 cards. So you can just win this one the slow way.
Yeah.
All right, pay 3, mill 3 cards. Pay 3, mill 3 cards. All right, so Mike is going to mill 3 cards off that Swords of Plowshares also. It doesn't do a lot, but it could hit some Narcomoebas, which I think is the big attractor. Mike pays 5. Any hard cast
Pretty
Force.
interesting that, like, I know Mike's way behind here, and that Mike has basically no way of winning, but when you consider that he mulliganed to 3, it's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, for the fact that this game is still going on and he mulliganed to 3, and then, like, if Lewis didn't have those Force of Wills, Mike would have had a shot. That is certainly huge. At the same time, like, Lewis probably would have kept a more aggressive hand if he didn't have the Force Wills, but it's cool to see that Mike Flores can still find outs, even in a situation where he mulligans down to 3 cards.
Yeah.
3 paltry cards. And looks at Mike's top card again. I think it was Worldly Tutor. I caught a glimpse of it. And shoves it to the bottom of Mike's library. Clausa Fuentes watching Louis Laskin in the background. Dryad Arbor serves in for 3. Mike looks over the cards in his hand, plays a Polluted Delta dejectedly, passes back. Lewis takes up Jace even further. choosing to scry this time. Leaves the card there and serves in for 3. That looks like Cross and Grip, Force of Will is what Mike is holding.
Huh, you cited in Crossing Grip?
Yeah, I think he thought Lewis was on counterbalance. I mean, you saw some of Lewis's deck in the first game. Alright, so Mike goes down to 1 here, and I think that should be it. Maybe Mike will classily lose by a cracking his flooded or his polluted delta. So Tadaru Spiritualist was his draw, and now that's not going to be good enough. Yeah, and he pitches Force of Will. That's going to be it. Yeah, and Mike finally sees the writing on the wall, packs him in, and that is that. Still pretty robust.
So close.
Still pretty interesting. Like, you know, mulligan to 3. Maybe he was never like really in it, but I think it was still cool to see like what his deck could do.
Yeah, but
even though
I mean,
that far. You know,
he mulliganed down to 3, and if his opponent didn't have like ways to interact with him, he still would have won on turn 3.
Right. I mean, if he, like, let's say he had drawn a Cabal Therapy at some point, and he goes Therapy Force of Will, he could have still won that game. Which I think is really interesting. So Mike's on the play again for Game 3, and hopefully, I'm sure he's looking through his cards and like hoping. All right, let's try and keep a 7-carder this time.
Yeah, how does he lose when he's 7? Right?
I mean, I'm sure Laskin has some graveyard hate, but the life combo.
All he has is like a sorcery speed loaming shaman.
Yeah, he does have that loaming shaman. Yeah, the sorcery speed is useless.
Yeah, it actually doesn't do anything.
No, you're right, actually.
So he's got nothing.
Dueling ground.
I guess he can only attack with one of the Sky Stars.
Yeah.
That seems fairly poor.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty bad sideboard card. Especially because Mike might have brought in the Ray of Revelation theoretically. Obviously, like, Lewis isn't thinking about that, but, like, 3-mana card that may or may not matter when they go off with their combo doesn't really matter that much. Lewis doesn't really know what's going on over there perfectly
Lewis
anyway.
Probably thinks Mike has, like, a Ray main. I guess he saw most of Mike's deck in Game 1. But, I mean, it's odd that Mike's deck does not have a Grudge and a Ray.
Yeah, he only has the Ray.
That's something that's kind of like normal in Cephalid Breakfast decks. Not that anybody really plays Cephalid Breakfast decks. I actually try to force this archetype from time to time and make it work. I really like this list. This is better than anything I've come up with. I played the second extended for a while.
Interesting. Yeah, he doesn't have the Ancient Grudge. You normally use that to hit like an Tormod's Crypt while you were going off or something, right? Isn't that the idea? Or Relic of Progenitus?
Like hit a Tormod's Crypt or like. You use it to hit like, I don't know, like a Pithing Needle that's like naming something in particular. You just never know what they have. Like Ensnaring Bridge, like people can have weird cards.
Yeah, I mean, it's Legacy. You could actually just have anything.
Yeah, like they could literally have anything. Yeah. So, I don't know. Just having like one card in your deck where like it doesn't matter what artifact they play. Maybe there just is no artifact.
Yeah.
Maybe there are only enchantments you need to worry about. Maybe it should just play 2 Ray. Who knows?
Yeah. Or, I guess no Mystical Tutors, right?
Yeah. Mystical Tutor's pretty good.
Yeah. Can't play with that one. And yeah.
But a Mystical Tutor was still legal. He could play Mystical Tutor also, and then he could Mystical Tutor for Worldly Tutor.
Mystical Tutor for Living Wish. Just do it the ultra hard. All right, Mystical Tutor for Burning Wish for Death Wish, Death Wish for you know, Emrakul the Aeon's Torrent. No, that's the hard way. So, do you think the players switched up their sideboarding? So, Mike seemed kind of confused. He brought in those Croson Grips.
That's gotta be terrible. Yeah.
Do you think he left those in, or do you still think he thinks Lewis is on a counterbalance plan?
I don't know. I mean, if you've seen Green Sun Zenith, can he really be counterbalance? That's my question.
I mean, I think there's certainly a Green Sun Zenith counterbalance deck that could exist.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot going on there, though.
I mean, the thing is that Lewis played this deck before. If Mike knows that, I think he could probably get the read on what Lewis is doing. But if he doesn't know that, it could be an issue.
Yeah, this may be like a lack of format knowledge.
Yeah. Or even, not necessarily even format knowledge, but just, recent deck knowledge, because Lewis has played this deck very recently.
I mean, that, like, knowing what decks
And
Lou Laskin
so-
has played in most recent Legacy events is format knowledge of Legacy, in my opinion.
That is entirely true. Lewis Laskin certainly defined some pieces of Legacy. So it looks like Mike is off to another mulligan here in game
9 out of
3.
5. Oh, no, 6. Okay. I missed both.
What's that? Bunch of lands of Brainstorm. All right, he's going to keep this time and passes. Green Sun Zenith turn 1 gets out Dryad Arbor.
Turn 1 Llanowar Elf.
Yeah, pretty nice, except my Llanowar Elf is also rampant growth because it's a land, kind of, sort of. You can also fetch it up, and my rampant growth also can get me a Tarmogoyf going long. What an interesting card Green Sun Zenith is. So Mike chooses a Brainstorm. I know how Brainstorm's on his main phase. I think like a lot of people would end of turn Brainstorm, but you just see one less card. Definitely picks up a Cephalid Illusionist there, and I think he got both pieces, right? Illusionist and a Nomads.
I think he has 2 Illusionists.
I think he has both of his combo pieces regardless. Now it's just a matter of when he feels like it's safe to deploy them.
Is there actually a Nomad there? Am I just missing it?
I thought I saw a Nomad. I thought I saw a white card, but I could be mistaken. When we get a better glimpse of Mike's hand, try and let you know. Let's see. So, once again, considering his options.
Yeah, now, I mean, Mike's deck has a lot of different combos, too. Like, we saw the Illusionist combo.
Right.
How he wins by milling himself, and then Dread returning a Karmic Eye to return a Kiki Jiki.
to return
Skyasar.
To make
But,
Skyasar.
He can also combo the Nomad's Entacore with a Daru Spiritualist.
Yeah.
And that just makes him gain infinite life.
Right, and gaining infinite life is something I don't think Lewis has any out to, right? I'm looking over his deck list. Yeah,
That's it for him.
Or, no, he can chase him out.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I mean, granted, Mike Flores could potentially set up a situation where that works, but I'm sure Mike saw the Jace in the second game and might be more reluctant to lead on that combo for game 3. So Mike cracks his fetch land here. And Lewis tapped for that Green Sun Zenith. Do you think we could see Mike try and go for something this turn?
Oh, that's a good question. Like, we could, I mean, all Lou really has open is a white, right?
Yep, it's a Savannah, so it taps for white or green mana. Yeah, for those of you just joining us, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Jake Van Lunen, and we're covering a very tense game 3 between Lewis Laskin and Michael Flores. Lewis Laskin on your right is playing a Bant deck, similar to the deck he played before in Legacy, but Mike Flores is playing a really interesting Cephalid Breakfast deck, and he's trying to right now to set up his combo after game 2 where he mulliganed to 3. He's trying to combo out Lewis once again. We'll see if it's successful here at the Star City Games Open Series in Edison. Legacy portion, of course, as you'll notice by all those dual lands. All right, so down comes Cephalid Illusionist. Mike is no doubt aware that Swords of Plowshares exists, and Mike brainstorms in response to the Swords, which is interesting because the 2 cards he puts back will be milled by the Illusionist, so we can make sure that he gets the cards he's not going to want out of the way, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
It's a tricky little interaction.
Rashad, make sure they know that. Mike's gonna get milled after this brainstorm resolves. Mike's gonna get milled after this brainstorm resolves from his Illusionist trigger.
Alright, so he's probably going to put Dread Return on top of his library, I would imagine.
several illusionists got targeted by sword.
So he forces pitching illusionist,
He still gets milled.
and he gets milled for 3.
Okay, he knows.
Yeah. And Lewis has no island to pick up for his days. So he just has to pass back to Lewis, and I think Lewis has another swords in his hand. It looks like he did bring in Dueling Grounds. I'm pretty sure that's what that card is right there. Yep, that's Dueling Grounds. So Lewis might be banking on Dueling Grounds for combo here. Oh no. Umezawa's Jite is going to be a big problem for Mike Flores. That card is a killer. It'll mill him 3 cards deeper, but it's going to be very hard for him to get anything online. And he can't even, there's no Ancient Grudge he can even try and find.
That's the artifact I was trying to think of.
Oh my. Yeah, that GT is going to be quite the headache.
So are either of these things 1/2s? Is the Nomad a 1/2?
The Nomad is a 1/1. If there was a way to put them into play simultaneously, Mike could make the combo work, but I don't believe there's any way he has to do that. I'm looking over his deck list to see if I'm missing something. No, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, I think Mike reads Dueling Grounds. Yeah, I think that Jite is gonna be it for Mike. I guess if he goes the life route, Jite can't beat Daru Spiritualist, which is interesting.
Yeah, so he could lead with Dire Spiritualist and then
play Nomad's Encore with Starlit Sanctum up. The issue,
Sanctum, yeah.
the issue, of course, is Lewis still has Jace going on, which can deck Mike Flores. Mike decided to force that Swords to Plowshares, and that did not work out well for him when a GT came down the next turn. And Lewis pumps his Noble Hierarch, trying to... At least I thought he pumped his Noble Hierarch. Maybe I was mistaken in what that gesture meant.
No, I think he pumped it once.
Pumped it once? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So it dealt 4.
Yeah, things looking mighty grim for Michael J. Flores. Lewis is going to, let's see, 8, 9, 10. If Lewis wanted, he could put Mike to 2, but he's being very disciplined to making sure that he has enough counters to have action going.
Leaves him at 4.
And
Well, I mean, he could kill him, right? But he'd have to go all in on the thing. Oh no, he would have been too short.
yeah. So Mike thumbs through his graveyard, trying to see, what can I do? Do I have any outs with these 2 Worldly Tutors in my hand? Mike grimacing a little.
No, I mean, I'm on 10 dead.
Dueling Grounds is a card that has been picking up some more popularity as of late.
Yeah, just I think Goblins is just so good. Also, it's okay against Affinity if they don't draw Cranial Plate, but mainly Goblins. Like, it's the deck that just wants to attack with so many creatures. It's all about just deploying guys, and really none of their creatures are threatening on their own. Like, you know, just,
Yeah, they've just got like a pile of tutus.
right. You know, taking 2 a turn, whatever. That's pretty manageable. And let's see. I just pointed out on Twitter that maybe how Jite got to 4 counters, and I believe he used 1 to kill the Illusionist, and then pumped once, and then just kept pumping in increments of 2, which has kept it on an even number of counters this game. But thank you, Brandon Beard, for the question. All right, Mike goes in the tank and casts Worldly Tutor. I'm looking, but I don't know what he's gonna get.
I mean, he kind of just has to get like spiritualist, right? Unless he sided something in that we're unsure of. I guess he probably has harmonic sliver.
He might have the harmonic sliver.
Harmonic sliver could get him out of this situation.
Could buy him some time if he brought it in. Of course, he might have taken it out if he thought Lewis was off the counterbalance plan, which could be a big issue. So Mike's thumbing through his deck, trying to find an answer. Is this the end?
I mean, it's tough.
Mike looking through his deck again. Did I miss it? Lewis reads his own dueling grounds.
Gerard's pretty cool.
Alright, so he does get the spiritualist.
You know, what he can do here is, he doesn't have the sanctum, so it's pretty hard to accomplish. He also got wastelanded, so even if he tries sanctum, it's kind
Yeah,
of...
I mean, he can play it to block, but he just puts him exactly where he was before. And Lewis forces, which should be game.
Yeah, that should be it. So Lou Laskin takes down the...
Yep, and there's the hand.
I mean, this deck's awesome. Mike Flores' deck.
Yeah, I think the deck is great. Just Mike obviously came to his draw, went a little sideways with the mulligan to 3.
Yeah, and I mean, Lou also, like,